Here with the legend, Kenny Monday. And as a fan, I want to dig a little bit deeper into your career. I feel like me as a super fan, I've known who you are. I've known what you've done in the sport. There's a lot of details kind of researching and trying to figure out who you are as a human being and your career and your path to your career. There was a lot of things I didn't know. So I want to get your story out there. I want to kind of step through your timeline and just talk about, you growing up in the sport and reflecting on what you've done and your accomplishments, and just kind of let people know like the path you took and what you've done. So the NCAA champ, 3-time Olympian, Olympic champ, you've done stuff on an extremely high level. Now you're here at the RTC at UNC, but you start in Tulsa. The story starts in Tulsa. Talk a little bit about that, growing up in Tulsa and how you get involved in the sport.
It's growing up in Oklahoma, of course. Oklahoma was a big wrestling state. Just a lot of great things coming out of Oklahoma, and I just had a great childhood. Just the beginning of my wrestling career started at the YMCA. Had a great coach that Charlie Shivers was our head coach at the Y. And I kind of followed in behind my older brothers, Mike and Jim. And Mike is Mike is 6 years older than I am, and Jim is 4. So Mike started in at the YMCA, and after school program, after our elementary school was like a block from the YMCA. So we would go to the YMCA after school, and then our parents would get off work at 5 and come pick us up. And we had a guy, Charlie Shivers, that started the program at the Y. And Charlie had wrestled at the University of Oklahoma, so he was an OU grad, and so he knew about the sport. So we had a great coach from the start, so fundamentals were on point. And at that time in Oklahoma, man, it was just such a rich culture of wrestling. We had elementary school then. It was like 1st through 6th grade was elementary, and then 7th through 9th was junior high school. And we had a full team at the YMCA, and we would wrestle all over Oklahoma, all over Tulsa, and it was probably it was 30 clubs, 30 teams that wrestled, and we had a league of wrestling, and we would do dual meets, and I never really had to leave the state of Oklahoma to get competition at that point. That's how rich it was. I remember guys that I wrestled with, that were like prodigies as kids, and so it was just a really rich culture, and so wrestling was very very strong. Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma had great teams. Of course, Oklahoma State University had a great team, great coaches there coming out of that Myron Roderick era of the 70s, and so we were also able to go down to Oklahoma State and watch great teams of Oklahoma State, great teams of University of Oklahoma compete. And
so you grow up watching excellence, watching tradition.
And I tell people this story. I was exposed to greatness early, because I was born in '61. By the time I started wrestling, by the time I was 10, it was 72. That was a 72 Olympic team, right? And so I got to watch all those guys from that 72 team compete down in Stillwater, Oklahoma at the U.S. Open. The likes of Van Gable and Rick Sanders and Jimmy Carr and Chris Taylor, the Peterson brothers. So these are all guys that Wayne Wells, of course, he's an Oklahoma guy. But I was exposed to greatness early, man. It was just so rich for me to see that it really set my dreams in motion as far as being an Olympic athlete. Because that was that 72 team, and that was my dream from the time I saw those guys compete.
But you didn't lose a match from like 7th grade through high school. Is that correct?
I did not. It's funny because I took to the sport early, and I had a lot of success early. From the time I started, I was after it. I was after it. And I think, of course, there were some things that happened along the way that kind of boosted my career and boosted my mindset in the sport of wrestling. But we just had a rich culture in Oklahoma, and of course my brothers were very instrumental, and my parents were very instrumental, and my parents were the kind of parents that took us everywhere that we needed to go to get that experience and get the coaching and get the competition. And but we didn't have to leave Oklahoma. It was so so competitive.
Was there ever a doubt you were going to wrestle for anywhere other than Oklahoma State?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing up in Oklahoma, I was a big OU fan growing up.
Right.
And it's kind of went back and forth. Whoever had kind of the best team, I would kind of lean that way.
Right.
Now, but we had some great. OU had some great teams, and I mean they were national champions in 1974. Had some guys that came out of Tulsa that wrestled at Oklahoma. I mean, some of my favorite wrestlers, the Brees brothers, Gary Brees and Steve Brees, were from Tulsa. They wrestled at OU, and so I was big Brees fans. And David McQuaig was another one that came out of Oklahoma. I was a big fan, and so we had child prodigies, man, that went to University of Oklahoma. So I was an OU fan for a long time, and actually my brothers were at OU when I made my decision to go to Oklahoma State.
Oh.
Both my brothers were at OU, and so now it was a big recruiting battle. And I will say this: I wasn't going to leave Oklahoma. I didn't want to wrestle for any other state coming out at that point because we were so. Again, the culture was so strong, and we had so much success coming out of Oklahoma that when I got old enough to go on like all-star teams representing the state, and that kind of really solidified my roots in Oklahoma.
Well, talk about your adjustment when you got there. You don't lose a match from 7th grade through high school. You're walking into college thinking, I'm going to be a 4-time undefeated NCAA champ. And that doesn't pan out. So, I mean, talk about that adjustment. And the reality of, hey, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough, and I was very successful as a kid. I think I went undefeated like the 4th and the 5th grade, and then I lost one time to Jim Hickson in the Tulsa Nationals in the 6th grade, and I didn't wrestle him again from the 6th grade. I didn't wrestle him again, and he's an Oklahoma kid from Oklahoma City. Is it Del City? I think so. And then I didn't wrestle him again going for my 4th state title. I was undefeated, of course, and I didn't wrestle him again until the finals of my state title, going for my 4th state title.
What was your thought process going into that?
Oh man, I've been looking for him the whole time from the 6th grade. Right. I was trying to get that match back.
And you got it back. What a great way to do it,
I think I beat him like 22-3 or something like that.
So 84, you win a national title. And I'm looking, Mark Perry, Sr. is on that team, right? Yep. He ended up getting 6 at 118, which blew my mind when I saw that. But you guys got second as a team. You didn't win the title.
Yep, we did. Of course, going into Oklahoma State, of course, I had one tie in my high school career. And I know you know the story. Mike Sheets was the guy that tied me. And so so Tommy Chesmo said, well, if you tied Monday, then you're coming to Oklahoma State as well. So he recruited Mike, and we both were teammates, and we got to wrestle almost every day from that point on. But we had a great class coming in. Mark Perry was on that team.
Character.
Came in as a freshman.
What a character.
Yep. I remember Mark coming in. We were on, I think, the All-Star team together. And so we got to hang out on the All-Star team. He came to Tulsa, stayed in my house. I took him to my high school. Took him to a high school dance in Booker T, Washington. And so we go way back. And I go way back with John, too. I remember the first time I met John Smith was, I think I was probably 12, 13 years old. John was little. He was probably 3 or 4 years old. So he was like 9 or 10, just a little kid running around in Del City, Oklahoma. And so I've been around those guys for a long time.
Set the stage for 88 Olympics, defending champ Uraev. You wrestle him in the finals and it ends up going to overtime.
Yeah.
But you're firing off attack after attack after attack, and you're getting in deep on some of them, and you could tell the guy's looking to counter the whole match. You get the reversal it kind of late in the match to tie it up, then it goes into overtime. Walk through that match and kind of what maybe your preparations were going into it, and knowing that this guy was probably going to be the guy you hit, and then how it played out.
Yeah, Adam Uraev was, of course, he was an 87 world champion, right? He beat Dave in the finals 2-1. And I had wrestled him 3 times before that. I had wrestled him 3 times. And so I kind of knew, we kind of knew each other. And but he beat me twice, and I beat him once. they're all close matches, and so I knew I could beat him. I knew I was good enough to beat him, but I had to have a great match, and I had to keep attacking him. And but I was confident going in just because my training was great. I was wrestling at a very high level. I beat Dave, 2 or 3 times leading up to that, and so I knew I was good enough. But watching him in the '87 World Championships, he was going through them. He went through that tournament, and so I knew I had to be at my best. And I knew I had to keep attacking him. But he's strong, man. The guys were strong and fast, and
there are a couple times in that match where you got in deep, and you're finishing on anybody else on the planet, and just he ends up getting you off his legs.
Yeah, he was strong, man. He was strong. That dude was strong. He was catching my shots, and he had kind of knew me just because we had wrestled before. A couple of times the things that I did to him in other matches, he was ready for him. And he was just strong. He was just a strong guy. Very good balance, good stance, fast. And so it just really kind of just came down to who had the, who wrestled the best, and it just kind of came down to that position that I ended up winning the match in an overtime. I actually got from him.
The irony there, right?
I know, right?
So you
from watching him wrestle Dave and studying those positions.
Right.
He did that same technique, not the body lock, but he got in that position against Dave to kind of neutralize Dave's front headlock. And so I was playing around with that in practice a lot, and so I kind of developed my own technique from there.
So you win the Olympics, first black man on the planet, right, to win an Olympic gold medal in wrestling.
Yep.
Your dad, Fred, was there, correct?
Yeah.
And I'm watching the match, and he's as cool as a fan the whole time. Like, I'm watching the match a couple weeks ago, and I'm getting antsy, and I know you won. And your old man's just sitting there just cool. How special was that A, make history for your culture, but B, have your dad there, right there watching?
It was great, man. I mean, Dad, you say he was cool, and that's just kind of how he is. He's cool on the outside, but he's burning up on the inside. He's so nervous. He is so nervous on the inside. And, but he lived the life with me. From the time I started, he was right there, and a couple of years he was coaching, and so he was always very supportive and always. He never wrestled himself, but once we got to wrestling, he kind of learned as we went. Right, yeah. So he knew me, knew the sport, and it was special to have him over there. My mom didn't get to go, but he was over there, and he hung out with John Smith's dad, Leroy, the whole time. So it was really special for 2 Oklahoma kids to be the only gold medalists to come out of that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they had a great time.
So Bobby Douglas and Shultz are in your corner for this match.
So Bobby is the one that actually really kind of brought being the first black Olympic champion to my attention. And I've studied wrestling. I kind of knew, because Lee Kemp was a hero of mine, and Chris Campbell and Gatson and
Calvin Douglas and all these guys. Yeah.
I mean, I've watched these guys for years and just kind of identified with those guys.
Sure.
Because they're African Americans, and so I always followed them. And I knew probably Lee Kemp would have probably been the one to be an Olympic champion.
3-time world champ.
3-time world champ. Made the team in '80. They boycotted. He didn't get to go, but he was 81 world champ, 79 world champ. So he would have won, and he didn't get that opportunity. And so once Bobby brought that up, it kind of made brought it to my attention. I mean, it really kind of elevated my motivation. It really did. I mean, it kind of gave me a different focus, because now it's not even about me winning. It was really about setting that standard and being the first. And anytime you had an opportunity to be the first in anything, I don't care if it's shooting marbles, it's a great thing, right? So that gave me a deep down motivation, a deep down inspiration that I know that would last a lifetime.
So you
didn't add any more pressure, though. You didn't add any more pressure. I was like, thanks, Bobby. Right. Thanks for giving me that.
But, I mean, Bobby Douglas has been so instrumental in so many guys' lives. And we talk about the what-ifs with Shultz and what he would have gone on to do. But what he did while he was there, I mean, he elevated your level as an athlete to a point to maybe you never win an Olympic title without having that rivalry with him. But you have a rivalry with this guy, and he's in your corner, and it was just if he couldn't be there, he would rather you be there. Talk about not only the rivalry with Dave, but like what that guy meant to you and your career.
You know, Dave was special. You know, he was just a special human being. And the things that he did, like, you know, after I beat him and made the team, and he was very, very gracious and very willing to help. And I'm not for sure I would have done that. You know, what I mean, that's just the kind of guy he was. But you know, Bobby was really going way back. My oldest brother Mike was Bobby's first recruit at Arizona State. So that was his first college. He went to Arizona State first. So I was introduced to Bobby, you know, back in the 70s, 72 to 3, and got to be around him a little bit and learn from him, of course, with his books and that whole thing. And so I have a long history with Bobby Douglas, and so it was just special to have him, my special Olympic coach when I made the team. But Dave was just, of course, he made me great. He made me, he kept me up at night. He got me up in the morning, and I knew that if I could beat Dave, that I could beat anybody in the world, because he was such a competitor and such a intelligent wrestler. I mean, and he was tough. He was mean, and he was intelligent. And so there's some levels that I had to get through to be able to overcome Dave. And plus everybody loved Dave. You know, USA Wrestling loved him, and of course Mark and Dave was the darlings coming out of '84. Defending Olympic champions, and they were already promoting those guys to be on the '88 team, and you know I kind of came in and kind of stopped that promotion a little bit, but no, he took me to another level, man. He really did, and then once I made the team, he was in training camp, and of course he was there to help Mark as well, but he was like, Kenny, anything I can do to help you, I'm here for you, right? So we wrestled a lot in training camp. Every day he was like, you want to wrestle? And so a couple times we would wrestle, right?
Ever get choked out in the front headlock?
No, not in practice.
So looking back, and you don't strike me as a very braggart type of guy. You seem like a very humble, kind of back in the cut type of guy. Looking back on, and I'm going to ask you to be for a second, looking back on your career, young man coming from Tulsa, Oklahoma, grows up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, goes undefeated from pretty much 5th grade through high school, right, except for this one dadgum character. Right. You win an NCAA title. You win an Olympic title. You don't only win an Olympic title, but you set the bar for black men around the world. When you hang your hat up at the end of your career, I mean, and not to wash over the fact you won a silver medal as well in the Olympics, right, and then you go back 96 Olympics. Satiev kind of has his coming out party, but you know, just sitting in a rocking chair on your front porch and reflecting on your career, man. What does that mean to you as a individual, as a father, as a husband, and as an African American in the world today?
You know, it's been an amazing journey. You know, it really has. And one of the greatest things that I have experienced out of being an Olympic champion and being at that level of success in the sport of wrestling is that it gave me a platform to really share my story and to touch so many other kids. And you'd be surprised at how many just families and fathers and sons and wrestlers that I've touched over the years, and they come up to me now as grown men that I maybe inspired as when they were a little kid. Whether I coached them or they were watching and they were wrestling because of my success. They come up to me and say, "Man, you were a big inspiration to me, and I'm wrestling because you know, when I saw you win, you know, it inspired me." And so just having that platform to touch people all over the world and share my story and share my journey is probably the biggest part of that, you know. And then also being able to bring my family into that, right, and have them share in that success and in the story of that. And so it's been an amazing journey, and it's I enjoy it every day. Every day I wake up an Olympic champion, and they can never take that away, you know. But just had some great stories and some great experiences. Been all over the world. Wrestling's taken me all over the world, and going back to that match, that final match that Dave and Bobby was in. You know, Dave came in. It was in the final match. and came up to me and said, Kenny, do you mind if I sit in your corner? And so I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought about it for a little bit, and I said, well, let me think about it. And then so I came back probably 10 minutes. I said, all right, man, all right, I'm good with that. And the reason I did that is because of his willingness to help me in training camp. He was there, and he was selfless, and anything, whatever he could do. I don't think it was like trying to self-promote himself or anything like that, even though he did have a five-schedule shirt on. But no, but Dave was just that kind of guy, man. He was really willing to do whatever he could to help. So that's why I was kind of allowed him to sit in my corner. And then after I won, then he put me on his shoulders and ran me around the mat. And but he was good to have in the room, and he was good to have in training camp. He came up to me. And which really kind of inspired me too. Like I think it was like the last day that we were having practice before the Olympics started. He goes, Kenny, pulls me over to the side. You got to kind of know Dave and kind of know his ways, But he was like, I was over there talking to the Russians, and man, they're like Monday. Oh, no problem, no problem. Why come you're not on the team? They couldn't understand why Dave wasn't on the team. Like Monday beat me. Fair and square. He beat me. He's the best guy, and he's gonna be very tough to beat. And he's like, oh no, Monday, no problem. So that really fired me up. And Dave made sure he told me that, but that fired me up. I was so freaking ready to go show the world that I was the best.
So the Puma name is actually between you and another individual. Like, I understood it as like it was all the Russians, but you explained to me that it was initially started. Explain that, how the Puma name came.
It was on a Tbilisi tour, and
which was the toughest tournament in the planet, because back then it was USSR,
yep.
And they only sent one per weight.
Team.
Right, and now it's split up into a gazillion different teams.
Right.
But back then, all the Russians went to Tbilisi.
Soviet Union.
So it was tougher than the Olympics. It was tougher than the World Championship some years in the Olympics. So like, just to set the tone for that.
Yeah. So I went to Tbilisi twice. I went 87, and Dave was on that tour as well. Dave won the tournament in 87. He went to Tbilisi in 87. I think I got fifth. The next year, Dave went, but he didn't wrestle. And so that's the year I won. But we would always do like 3 dual meets on that tour. So we do three dual meets, a different team, Russian teams, different guys, and then we'd go to the tournament. So that was like 11 matches that I wrestled that year on that tour. And one of the guys I think he was 68 kilo. I forget his name, this Russian guy, but he was really tough. And so we kind of hit it off. We exchanged some gifts and that kind of thing, and so he kind of showed me around, and so we kind of just hit it off, and we just started teasing each other, and he was like real strong, but he was like very controlled. He had a lot of throws, a lot of arm throws, and he didn't move a lot, right? I'm like, dude, you're also you're like a walrus. You're slow. You're like a big bear. You just kind of plot around. He goes, yeah, you're like a little puma. You're like a black puma. You're so fast and moving. You move too much, And so then every time he saw me, he would say, Puma, black puma. And he'd laugh, the black puma. And so it just freaking stuck, man. And all those guys, all those Russian guys. And then I won that tournament. Like, so now when I went to Tbilisi and I got that white cape, and so he was in the back going, Puma, 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 Puma. So all these kids were at the tournament, and I was like the Pied Pipers. I was giving them gum. I was feeding these guys gum, so they cheer for me at the tournament. And they were all screaming, Puma, Puma. And it just, from that year, it just kind of stuck. And so when it came back, that was kind of the story that they were saying, where'd the Puma come? I heard them saying, Puma, where'd that come from, right? And so that's kind of how it started.
So fast forward now, you got the roles changed. So your coach, your mentor, your dad. Yeah. You got your wife Sabrina. You got Quincy and Kennedy at wrestling. You're down here with Kennedy. Quincy's up at Princeton. Talk a little bit about me and you. Actually had a little sidebar conversation a bit ago about coaching kids and trying to separate dad and coach. Talk a little bit about what you've taken from your career and the coaches, the amazing coaches you've had with, with Douglas and, Dave helping some and Bruce Burnett and some of those guys, Barnett and some of those guys coming through. Like, what are your takeaways and what are you applying now to make sure your sons have the same experience and enjoy the platform that you helped build the foundation for?
Right. Absolutely. I was so blessed to be able to be exposed to so many great wrestlers, from the Oklahoma State wrestlers back in the day in the 70s, like you talked about that. But being around some of the best coaches, being in training camps with Dan Gable, being around Douglas and Chesbro, and just so many different guys that I was around that I learned so much from, and I'm just like I'm a sponge, and I'm taking a little bit from these guys. I take a little bit from Gable. I take a little from Douglas, Chesbro, Myron Roderick was another great source that I got to know growing up. He was athletic director when I was there at Oklahoma State. Being around then, and then being teammates with John Smith and Mike Sheets, and so these guys really kind of shaped my whole philosophy about wrestling, about just working your butt off, putting yourself in the right environments. I'm so big about putting yourself in the right environment where you got like-minded people that you love training with, right? That got an energy and an excitement about competition, and so just trying to give them my experience and give them my my philosophy on wrestling and how to approach, and they got to do their own journey. And one of the biggest things that they struggle with, I think they struggle with early, is just being the sons of Olympic gold medalists, right? But a lot of the pressure comes from, and I explained it to them, a lot of pressure comes from other people. It doesn't come from me, because it's their own journey. Of course, we're going to work hard, and I told them, I can show you all the technique in the world, I can show you all that, but it's you can't get around the work. It's hard work, it's dedication. If you want to be good, if you want to be great, you got to dedicate yourself to the sport, right? And but I never got caught up in trying to have them emulate my success, right? I want them to have their own journey, which they are doing now. And they got their own path that they're doing. I'm really happy about that. I just merely wanted to expose them to the sport, introduce them to the sport, and then have them take off how they want to take off. Now, they're at the point now where I feel like their styles are good enough that they can win. It's just about what they want out of the sport. They can. I feel like they're good enough to do whatever they want to do in the sport, right? It's just as far as what they want out of the sport, how hard they want to work, or what they're willing to sacrifice, just what they want to do with it, right? So they're good enough to do whatever they want to do in sport, right?